Shalom, Israel. Giving all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle, elders, bishops, great millstone. Much salutations to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will to the hopeful extended elect, shalom, blessings. Men, women, and children living in the last days. Getting this scripture about everybody really knows that the M.O.T.B got to do with something physical, with a few exceptions of others that don't believe that. I looked up ChatGPT and about the grievous sore, and it says what it means. Literal sense, the words noisome and grievous sore refers to painful, festering ulcers of the boils, something physically afflicting the body. And I think that when I even looked up noisome was basically a complaining or crying out, a conviction of wrongdoing. So, a lot of people are going to take the M.O.T.B knowing it's wrong. Everybody knows about the prophets on the street because it says they're going to know that a prophet been among them. They're going to, because they had been listening to the prophets. They just hadn't taken heed. And it's hard for them to believe that this is what it really is. And then when these things come to pass, they're going to be like, damn, they were the prophets. They were telling the truth. But it's a conviction also in the meanwhile, before these things really hit, that people know it's not right. It's against humanity and moral codes, especially if you're forced. So the verses comes from, and back then they compared it to Egypt. Back then, the plagues of Egypt, where people were struck with boils. This is a spiritual Egypt, and that's probably why they're saying this spiritual mark. But even in the blue letter. Now this is a source of information, of course, but we use it. But we've lined up scriptures and precepts and line upon line, precept upon precept, how it makes sense that it's not spiritual and it's not sin. It says, if you go to the actual word right here, Greek, let me see, put it out.
Strong's G 1668,
Helkos.
Helkos.
A wound, especially a wound producing a discharging pus, a sore, an ulcer. And I even looked at Grievous, ulcer of the, on the body. Will an RFID chip implanted cause sore? Can cause temporary soreness, swelling, and bruising, especially during the initial healing period. Initial soreness and swelling and bruising are common for the first days to 2 weeks. Sensation of sharpness, which may last for several weeks. That chip may move from the initial insertion site within the first few weeks, which can cause discomfort as it settles in the pocket into the fascia, connective tissue. Now, we're talking about regular, because I asked also that is this exercise in America, and they said not as much as it is in other countries, and as there are Americans still, certain leaders of America still banning the ideal of using it, and that's right now. And of course, you know, if there was an all-out civil war, what have you, or um, you know, just a whole where America's out of order citizens is just going crazy, and some catastrophic happen, an order, we call it order out of chaos, where there needs to be, um, you know, some rules and regulations uh, forced on people. Just like when people protest and it looks organized at first, which a lot of it is, it starts off to be organized. You can't say this, you can't say that. You gotta walk certain ways to a protest, or they block off certain roads and streets when during protests. So it's like organized, more organized. But if it's all out war everywhere, you know, everybody pretty much got a gun in their hand. Nobody trusts nobody. Neighbor against neighbor. Some leave the world behind stuff. You know, there's not gonna be any rules and regulations to that extent until they come in with martial law. And then I looked up martial law, and it says suspended of liberties under martial law in the U.S. Civil liberties are severely restricted or suspended, with military authority replacing civilian government. While constitutional rights like habeas corpus may be suspended, military actions must still be justified by necessity and are subject to future judicial reviews. That's not true, because who's going to arrest the government? Who's going to arrest the military? Like, who's going to look into it to make sure they treated the citizens right in the act of martial law and the suspension of liberties, rights such as free speech, assembly, or protection against. And you see, like that movie Independence Day, they were separating families. Somebody could get on the bus, another, one family member, a couple of family members could get on the bus, and the others couldn't, or they may take the children and have them get on another bus. And then, the parents say, well, I'll see you again. This is how, we have to do it right now, but, we should be all right. Encourage your children. Yeah, we'll be together again. I have to. And, I know that one scene, Will Smith tried to get on the bus, and they scanned his hand, and it wouldn't read at first, and then it finally read, and he finally got to get on it. But I think one of his family members couldn't go, his daughter or something. I forget exactly how that scene went, but it says often resulting in curfews and restrictions on movement. Yeah, they got 15-minute cities. These are things that we've been talking about. Detention rights, the writ of habeas corpus. I have to look that up. I haven't looked at habeas corpus up. The right to challenge unlawful detention before a judge can be suspended, allowing for military detention without charges, man. Yeah, without charges. Civilians may be subject to military tribunals rather than civilian courts, especially when civil courts are incapacitated. So, and you can see some of these pictures of martial law. More militaried out, It was martial law, declared deaths are mounting. This is just a news article. Over 400 killed here. Japan announces war. Yeah. martial law throughout U.S. history, War of 1812. Let me see. I'm gonna big it up right quick. Uh, Colorado, 1903. Hawaii, 1941. Civil War, 1861. Maryland. So it revolves around war. Anytime war happens, we're moving toward a third world war. You know, so they'll then force it, and then if you want to be protected because the world is going crazy, and if a regular citizen want to be protected by the troops and the martial law officials, then they're gonna be like, well, what do I have to do? You know, it'll be hasty. It'll be like a state of panic, a confusion, unsure about your life. So they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna you go to this station, report to this station, and you got to be tracked. Because how are they gonna reestablish citizenship and get it back to where people call it the norm if it's all chaotic? If and anybody could be anybody. I mean, you got sleeper cells here. You got people sneaking in and spies. They just talked about those spies in Iran. They were executed, a spy for Israel. So that's a thing too. And you want to track everyone. You want to like they call it the new ID. And I don't really think they're gonna push that until something major happens, to where they're basically hinting that this is a new world order we're moving into. So you're gonna have to have a new ID. You're gonna have to have new citizenship, which goes into that same requirement to have something to identify yourself. That old identification is not gonna work because you could be anybody, and with all this confusion and all this AI going on, and we don't know what's real or not, they're gonna be like, people wearing masks. If you see the movie The Purge, it was a lot of people wearing masks because they didn't want nobody to know who they were. So when they come across another enemy, or another people, or a house, or uh, whatever, they can read, they could deceive again, so they won't be noticed of that same person that was robbing everybody in that vicinity. They could take off the mask and be like, go back out there and be like, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a citizen, I just wanted to ask you help, or I wanted to help you. And then next thing you know, boom, they set you up. Or they'll use their children, or young sons and daughters, to lure somebody in. They showed you that, I think, in Book of Eli. So if all that stuff is going on, man, they gonna definitely need. There ain't gonna be no question whether it seems right or not. This is the only way we know how to do this. It's the only way that makes sense. And the aggression is building up. The intensity is building up of war and aggression. So they're gonna be like, and then Russian troops are gonna be over here, maybe China troops, Korean, whatever, and you think they're gonna treat Americans, you know, uh, so going back to where it could it's easily believable that this is going to be forced. this new identification, which that's what RFID chip is, radio frequency identification device. Why is that exercise? Why is that in play? Why are they making so many? They're making billions of those, and they making it more accessible, more convenient, and they'll probably put it in stores to where you could make a choice between, yeah, you know, just like they have self checkout. People do that. It's more checkout self checkouts than there is lines with the actual cashiers working. So a lot of people, go to the self checkout. They want to just hurry up and get out of there. A couple of people, few people still go to the line with the cashier. They might even know that cashier and just chop it up a little bit in the line when they're buying their groceries. But it's the choice is there. But soon, um, like even in America knows how to do this. I don't know if it's a term for it, but if they want Negroes to move out of a certain neighborhood, all they do is raise the prices of food in the convenience stores because they know that's all that's where they go. You can't go nowhere else to get food. You got to go to the convenience store or grocery market. So they could raise prices, and then they could raise prices of gas. Right now, like Elder Brock in L.A., he was telling me gas is $6 up there, man. So you're gonna be like, damn, it's too high. I need to move to another place to more affordable. That's that Section 8 thing that the so-called black man, fell into that net. Like, okay, well, we got housing, we got benefits, we got SNAP benefits, we got cash benefits, and public housing, and but it still was the projects, it still was the hoods, you know. But it was financially it was better living, as far as what you were able to afford. So that's all they need to do, make things intense, make things high, and then you be like, well, shit, I'm definitely like, you know, the crowded places in COVID during the crowded places, you be like, I just want to, and you couldn't trust nobody. People were edgy, and people was like, yeah, I just want to go to the grocery store and get out of there, man. You can't trust nobody. It's just stuff, people creepy, man. So you wanna get in and get out as fast as you can. So you'll do that self checkout, but it's exercising the people's mind to, and it says self like, oh, like this is a, so to speak, a sense of freedom. Like I get to check out my own self, and it's just another card of deceit to, like they always played on the citizen to make you feel free when you're not. So now, with all this new identification and all this corruption going on and this hacking and murders behind that, they're gonna, and let's say anarchy. Well, it's gonna be anarchy. It's gonna be, that's what it says in scriptures. They're not gonna care for their kings and princes, their governments and all that. So they're gonna have to put their foot down. Let me get that word actually of anarchy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, spelling it right. Yeah, I think I did. It means no government or no ruling authority. The word comes from Greek and without arcus, ruler, without rulership, without a ruler. So chaos, lawlessness, disorder. So that's why they call it order out of chaos. They're gonna come and set the order. No rules, people doing whatever they want, and that's what they people have an ideal of what America is today. As far as, yeah, man, America's that a country is over with, man. I do what I want to do, you know. I don't believe in no damn Trump. I don't believe in America no more. And what are they doing? They sending ICE out to get those kind of people. You know, it starts with your citizenship. Like, but we know about true citizenship. If you're a citizen of a country, you're gonna have to fall in line with what the country, the government of the country implements. You know, so it's definitely gonna be some forced um, action, if you will. But going back, um, and we talked about modern slavery. You know, where they branded people for ownership. What what state do you belong in? It's just like your ID is branded. You got your, it's printed numbers on there, printed codes on there. Say that you say this is you from United States, whatever. You from this country, you know, and you were born this day, and your ID expires. So then what you gotta do, you gotta renew your license, renew your ID, what have you. So yeah, and then, because you gotta reprove, I mean your what do you call it, renew your identity to the ones that own your own your life pretty much, man. At least according to the things they set up in their own country, because you could go to another country and there'll be a different set of rules and you'll abide by a certain, and they might like you. They might keep one or two Jakes over there. It's a lot of Jakes going over these other countries, marrying their women, and they meet the fathers, and the fathers accept them, because a lot of these other countries, the women are still family oriented, and they still have their father as a supervisor and an overseer, um, for how they move, and the choices they make. That's Eastern Standard type of living. And so here it's all wild, wild west, man. But they do have measures that they meet to control opposition, to control what is deemed to be out of order, which it will come one day where that's needed, martial law. And of course, it's going to come with, hey, where's your identity? Who are you? Where you come from? You a spy? Where's your new ID? This is America. America's going to try to get into their pride again, try to heal themselves. But it says Babylon should not be healed. But anyway, so yeah. Go back to it being an ulcer, a wound, and a grievous sore, a crying out, conviction of, you know, and that's why the Most High is making everybody know this truth. Like and it's a debate in a lot of homes. Yeah, it's like you can actually put it in some of these in the AI and Google, whatever, ChatGPT, and they'll say it's a discussion, it's a topic to whether some believe that it is, some believe that it isn't, but it's that conversation is there, and they know. But our people know when it come to moral codes, it come to what they would call religious, that it doesn't make sense, and that's unacceptable in terms of religion, terms of spirituality. It's against humanity. Um, you know, so um, and it could be like people get they when they display these movies. I'll close out when they have these movies. Some movies have it as a tattoo. I didn't see it's a movie actually called The Mark of the Beast, and they get a tattoo on their forehead. People say, well, what if it's a tattoo? They don't really have time for that shit. You pierce and you go. You line up. They might have stores where like a pharmacy type of setup, to where you just go in there, just like getting your key made or some copy. You just go in there, get it, your ears pierced, or something like that, something quick. Just go there, get it, and you have access to the new America, to the new. And they're gonna try to rebuild America and make it seem fashionable and new. And they built it. They rebuilt the new towers. They put in a lot of new entertainment. They putting billions into certain establishments all across the world. This is the new life. They're gonna make it like it's the new life, attractive. And you're gonna be like, I gotta. You're gonna have. They're gonna make it seem like you could be a part of the elite body. Like I said too, and like it's been talked about. I think even among apostles and elders, and they've been talking about it in the government. I think that you could with the chip you can have $2,000 on your credit. Well, it's going to be moving into a credit based system, so they're not going to use the concept of dollars anymore. So you can have credit on your monthly credit just for free. You know, and your work might have to be light because there's a lot of digital work is going to be applied in this last day to where nobody really need laborers no more. The computers do a lot of stuff these days. The celebrities, they don't have to make a full album. They get shit AI. you know they making AI songs, and they'll sound like just like the artist, you know and be like, man, I can't come up with an album. I got writer's block. I'm done, man. I need an album with before this. Well, we got you. Just make an AI album and just perform it. Oh, that's yeah. So I'm just drawing some pictures about of this. They the new world order. That's what it's called. They planning to make a new world order. Everything's new. Go watch that movie, The Giver, where you don't supposed to remember anything from the past. If you do, and Minority Report, and tracing the God gene. They know some men are going to get spiritual powers. They want to trace that as soon as they can, and they feel that M.O.T.B, the C hip is going to be able to track that. So they'll come and get you just like Minority Report before you even do something that you were thinking in your mind. Oh, you're thinking about taking out the government? Yeah, we got you. You already on file. How? Well, we ready on your identification. Anyway, but your C hip. Anyway, but yeah, more to come, most high willing. Hopefully it's edifying. Shalom.